preacher kid, so I don't know many preachers' kids up in there who parents just say, "Hit the wine, baby. Come on, let's get to drinking." I was taught wine was wrong.
Welcome to How's Your Wine? I'm here with Danny Ross, and before we jump into the episode, I'm gonna let Danny introduce himself. So go ahead.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Nelson, for allowing me to be with you on your show. I'm Danny Ross. I'm a licensed professional counselor supervisor. I have several focus areas where I work with clients. I work with clients who are Black males, also trauma and grief. And also I still work with everyone, but those are the specialty areas. So I've written about 5 books. We'll talk about that a little bit later in our show. But part of my mission is to really just give people a safe place to talk, to vent, to be human, and to not be judged. So that's the goal of DLR Counseling Group. And I have my practice here in Arlington and Southlake. Been in business about 7 years.
Perfect. In Arlington, Texas, and Southlake, Texas.
Yes.
Cool. So for you, you talk about your mission as basically a self-starter, right? You really built yourself up from the ground up as a therapist. Explain your process into how you become who you are today.
I think my early background coming from Mississippi and just kind of being all about community and family and things like that, I've always been under the mindset that life is not just about me, but it's about so much more. And so much of what we do is interconnected. And I think that's one of the facets of life that I'm seeing in the world. Everybody is so isolated. Everybody is in their own little world. And for me, I remember a time to where we depended on each other. We were a part of community. And being from Mississippi is really about community. And the little small town I'm from, Columbus, Mississippi, is about 20,000 people. And they knew what we were doing. I knew what they were doing. If we needed eggs or sugar, I would ask my neighbor. But I'm even looking at it now. Right now, I'm in an area where realistically, I don't know my neighbors. And so one of the things that I really have focused on is being connected. And you were talking about being a self-starter. I couldn't do anything but be a self-starter. Otherwise, it was going to put me in a world of trouble. And my mom had very, very high expectations. My dad was a Baptist preacher, and he passed away when I was about 5. But you live under the influence of being like really together, having your stuff together, not making mistakes or thinking you can't make mistakes. And I think it was a good thing. And I also think it was a difficult thing at the same time, because a lot of times you're living up to others' expectations and playing out roles that you don't necessarily want to totally live out. But they were helpful. And now I know to go back and challenge some of those things that I was living out that weren't authentically me. But one of the biggest things that I do appreciate about my upbringing is about community, being responsible for my brother and not just living life for me and taking up space. I'm supposed to give back. So that's one of the missions and the goals for Danny, in addition to DLR Counseling Group.
So talk about your counseling group, DLR Counseling. Looks like you got a couple books you've written. I've got one here.
Yay! You got
to getting into
that's one of my favorite books. That's one of my favorite books that you have right there. But DLR Counseling Group started in 2015. I currently have a staff of about 2 of us. I have another therapist on staff, and then I have an assistant, and I have some contracted people. But again, we all are about the mission of just trying to support the community, be good at what we do so that we can build healthy families that will, filter into our community so that they can be impactful and go on with their lives and live the most impactful and awesome lives that they can. So we're just all about trying to make sure that we meet the needs of our area.
So what were some challenges? And I've asked this question to the previous guests that I've had as wine enthusiasts, but as someone that is into a business where there's not a lot of, honestly, like Black males, what are some challenges that you face when you are dealing with, the individuals you're trying to work with on a daily basis?
I think I get it. I'll be honest, not just from the dominant culture, but I also get it from, the minority cultures. People size you up. They trying to figure out who you are. Are you capable of handling their problems? What is it that you exactly know? Things like that. And any therapist goes through that, but I think it's more as a Black male. I was telling someone the other day, I said, sometimes Black men, we get an expectation of being less. We're not good at cleaning up. We're not good at organizing. We're not good at, different things. So to me, that filters over, that same ideology filters over into just being a businessman, being a good therapist. People are constantly questioning your ability, which they should. But one of the things that I found that I recognize is I was working towards getting, a lot of certifications all the time. And I just started to realize, I said, you know what? If people don't want to come to DLR counseling group or see me, or I don't connect with them, that's okay. There are plenty of therapists out there who are excellent fits. And you don't have to come to DLR counseling group, or you don't have to come to Danny, but I have learned to embrace that which I know. Those specialty areas, those things that I'm good at, and I'm going to be okay with that. Other people will not live in my head. Mm-hmm. I have to live in my head. I have to know who Danny is, and other people can't dictate that. And I think part of this whole mission is, when in business, if you are not careful or confident in your abilities and knowing who you are before you start, you will be sucked in and become what people think of you. And so I encourage you to do the work, get a therapist, see someone if you have to, talk to someone, because if you have poor self-esteem now, it is going to be beat down by the rejection places or by the sometimes the comments that people may make. So you just got to be okay with it.
It's a very fair answer. I've been going to full transparency, like going to counseling for off and on the last 3 years. So I definitely seen how it's helped me grow and evolve and, deal with the ups and downs of life, because today, there's going to be something that happens. Tomorrow, there's going to be something that happens, and I have to be able to bounce back. So
exactly.
For you, like, what are some things that you're seeing in like the Black male community and even the male community in general, as far as us avoiding therapy and avoiding counseling?
I think, as I said earlier, I think the go-to that I see most men doing is sizing you up. It's almost like playing sports. They sizing you up to see like what you come into the game with. And again, are you capable of handling my problems? Most times in this profession, they see a nice white lady, most times 50, 60 years old. So one of the things that I have to do is I have to work against the stigma of who you think I am. And then another angle of this is you see these little therapy shows on TV that are not realistic as to what therapy is. That is entertainment. We do not want you to think you're coming into session being entertained. I don't have the stamina. I don't have the energy to entertain you. So my biggest thing is, in the very beginning, I do try to make sure I explain every facet of it, how therapy goes, treatment planning, setting up your appointments. understanding that I am working with you. And I need your input, your buy-in. I need you to talk back to me to get the results you want. But I am no magician who's going to change your life through a conversation. And then you got to stick with it long enough. A lot of times we think we are doing something when we come to session. Well, you can come to session all day long and do absolutely nothing. That's just like you showing up on the court. You just said you finished a basketball game a few minutes ago. You got to come to session ready for the game. And ready for the game means I'm here, I'm vulnerable, I'm open, and I'm ready to talk about my feelings or my thought process. And so sometimes it takes a good couple of sessions before we build that rapport to where men, and particularly Black men, are ready to talk about thoughts, vulnerabilities, the things that are really bothering them. I was talking to someone the other day about how often people tell us that we have a space to talk, but when I really look at it, there's not actually space, or we minimize what the brother is going through. And so you and I both know when we decide that we're going to talk, please make sure that you listen when the brother decides to talk, because you could shut him down if you come in an inappropriate way or a way that's not helpful.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even for me, like it's been a growth process for me to understand, like I have to be more outspoken about like the struggles and the ups and downs that I've gone through. And we've talked about that off record, like just because I'm 32 now, and if I continue at this pace where I'm like super shy or like hesitant to open up, like, I'm not going to be able to, really blossom. So I think when you mention like how us as Black men and men in general, like we have to open up and share our feelings. I just want to recommend, like, really commend you on being somebody that looks like us and can share and relate to, the daily ups and downs.
Thank you. And then I also think too, one of the things too is also recognizing nothing will get better if you don't expose it. There is so much in our community as Black people that we have been taught to keep in silence, to keep in the background, to put in darkness. I know you probably have your own dark stories that you keep to yourself. I have some too that kind of circulate in the family. You know not to talk about those things. But there have been studies that have shown us that secrecy is a deadly killer, causes stress, causes physical type problems, all types of things because of silence and secrecy. And I tell people in session, I say, if there's no other place that you can be honest, it's here.
Right.
First of all, I have a confidentiality clause that I have to keep, and I need for you to use that so that you are not dealing with something in silence and really hurting yourself. So just really educating people as to really maximizing the use of counseling or support.
That's real. So when we talk about vulnerabilities, let's ease up the conversation a little bit. You are interested in wine. You like wine, but explain to us more about your wine experiences.
Okay. Well, this is good, Nelson. And as I told you, I am a novice when it comes to wine, but I absolutely love it. I've gone to a couple of, it's the places that you go taste wine and things like that. Didn't necessarily know what I was doing, but I'm open game to the experience. And I love that. I'm all about learning something new. I'll be honest, if I could be candidly honest, and I feel like I'm putting myself out here, but vulnerability, most I have been told, you don't want that girly wine, the sweet wine. I know you know what I'm talking about. And so I used to try to drink me a red, dark, or something because I did not want to be seen as a wimp. You see how this connects to mental health? even in wine tasting.
Exactly. Tell them.
I can't even drink the wine I want to drink because I'm trying to stay in good graces with the brothers. And I actually like me some Moscato.
I see. You can have the Moscato. I'm not a Moscato guy, but I'm here to sip in rosé.
Okay, or a Pinot Grigio. I like those. Yeah. And what's the German one? It's Riesling. Oh, I knew a little bit more than I thought. Like, at least I could, okay. But I love those. I love those. See, you helping me. You are helping me. And so, and then the other piece of this is I'm a preacher kid. So I don't know many preachers' kids up in there, who parents just say, "Here the wine, baby. Come on, let's get to drinking." I was taught wine was wrong. Drinking, alcohol, basically everything was wrong.
Everything
was wrong.
Don't let the wrong people get this video.
Well, you know what? I am delivered. I am free. You hear me? I am free. I am free. There's absolutely nothing wrong with drinking, wine drinking. It's in the drunkenness. That's what
drink responsibly.
Drink responsibly.
That's the phrase right there. Okay. So I love how you were talking about how you have had to really open up your palate and, be vulnerable with wine, learn wine, and not necessarily have to be an expert about it.
Mm-hmm.
With going to therapy and going to counseling, I mean, obviously there's a lot of similarities there for us who aren't comfortable with going to therapy or opening up. Like, what are some steps that people can take, and maybe how can people reach out to you for future sessions?
Well, one of the things that I want to recommend, and you have one of my books, you can hold that up because I can't seem to find my book right now. But that book right there is a workbook. These are workbooks. All of these are workbooks. And I wrote these from the angle of someone not being ready to go to counseling. And if I'm not ready to go to counseling, maybe I can answer the questions. Maybe I can find some discovery through answering some of the questions in the books. Mm-hmm. And if I need to do more, it'll be a leading into more if you feel like you need to do more. But I feel like this is an icebreaker. And so I'm doing different things to make therapy more tangible, to make it easier, more digestible, to make it typical or normal, and not so you going to therapy. I ain't crazy. You know how we do it.
Yeah.
And it's not about being crazy. It's just an open platform so that you can work through some of the things in your life so that you can be happy and go on and live the life that you want to live. I tell my clients all the time, my goal ain't to keep you here and to take your money. I believe if you treat people badly, it's going to come back on you. And when my clients are finished with their treatment plan, I send them off to live their lives. And I tell them, you're my client for life if you want me to be your therapist, and you can see me as needed. But my goal is not to be me with you every week for the rest of your life. That's not good. If we're doing that, I need to refer you to somebody else. We're not doing Freudian therapy. Psychoanalytic stuff. Nah.
And also, with school coming back into session, and for a lot of kids, a lot of families, a lot of parents, right? It's been a lot of traumatic events over the summer. Starting with, unfortunately, Uvalde and everything in between. So talk to us about how parents can really prepare their kids, how teachers can prepare their kids as school is basically around the corner and starting for some districts here in Texas and around the country.
I think one of the things that I'm really key on when I work with families is helping them recognize kids are more resilient than we think. They also pick up on things much sooner than we think. They're like, He's not going to know what that means at 5. No, he knows what it means at 3. And we have to be aware. And I'm just like, well, why are we keeping this from kids? I feel like we should be talking to kids about things on their level. Do I have a full blown conversation in detail about every nuance of the event? No, but I'm honest with kids. So when it's time for me to say, I need you to do this or to do that, or the kid is not being honest, they know that I have modeled honest type behavior in our conversation. And one of the things that parents really can do is model the behavior that you want to see. If you want your child to not curse, don't be up in the house cussing like a sailor and just conjugating cuss words.
Right.
If you want your kid to be more compassionate, how about you become a little bit more compassionate or check your compassion level? If you want your kids to be kids who are able to process information and work through decision making, teach them how to do that. Walk them through how you make decisions when it comes to paying bills, when it comes to going to school meetings. Have your kids engaged in those things that are important to you that you want those kids to pick up on. Another thing that I want us to do as parents and community members and educators and whoever else works with kids is let's start teaching healthy emotions early on. We have mad, we have sad, but we don't talk about the words in between that could really define meaning and help kids articulate what is it that they need. Kids turn into adults who in turn are not capable of articulating their needs. Think about it. That's the area I stay away from, my emotions, my feelings. So when you get in a marriage, when you get in a relationship, when you get in friendship and people say, what's wrong with you? Oh, I'm good. You lie. You lie. But it's part of the vulnerability in what we've been taught. We have been taught that it's not okay to share how we feel. And it's people like you, people like me, people like the brotherhood who will normalize healthy emotions and brotherhood, being able to say, I love you, being able to say, I care, being able to say that I need help, I need support. Let's model the behavior. If I had to give advice to parents in the school year, let's model the behavior you want to see. And let's not wait until things get so out of hand that it's more difficult to fix the problem. Another thing too, say for instance, kids need to work through some different things. Make it their responsibility. Make your child own that thing that needs to be worked through. Work through it with them. Talk through it with them about how they may want to handle a particular situation. But you're guiding the conversation, but you're not telling them. So we want to do more of that, or asking more open-ended questions and things of that nature.
Okay, for the non-parents in the room, like myself, and I mentioned I was guilty for not, expressing my emotions in several parts of my life up until, now, right? So for us, how do we just flip a switch? How are we able to pivot from not being able to express our emotions to just going out there and really embracing who we are and how we're feeling?
One of the exercises or things that I do with my clients is we talk about vulnerabilities from the angle of triggers, things that I didn't quite deal with early on. And so when I get into a situation and it makes me uncomfortable, or it makes me feel a prior feeling or something like that, it makes me want to close off. I retreat or I go back to my childhood place as to how I coped or how I adjusted. And so one of the things that we do have to do is what I call just kind of exposure therapy. we have to actually try to use some of the words. We have to go to people and share. I first of all say, try talking to somebody you feel safe or comfortable with when it comes to emotions and feelings and vulnerability. We kind of always know who those people are who will meet our needs in certain areas. I got certain friends for different things. There's certain people I couldn't talk to about certain things. Know who your people are so that you can rehearse certain things so you know who to go to in the event. You need to talk about emotions, but I always say, let's start with a safe area and then we try someone else, out. But sometimes you want to go ahead and really start thinking about the conversation before you even have it, so you feel less intimidated. And just kind of have your talking points together. So that's one thing that you can do.
All right. And for me, one of my main missions of How's Your Wine, which is obviously my wine thing that I got going on, is making wine less intimidating. So I love how you talk about the intimidation factor for a lot of us as we go into therapy or go into expressing our emotions. What are some recommendations that you have for self-starters who are dealing with, opening up or embracing the challenges that they are faced on a daily basis?
I think one of the things that I had to do is recognize that I can't do everything by myself. I had to develop a team. I had to develop a support, even if I couldn't do anything but give you $50 here and there to do something for me, because time is money. And I always say somebody likes to do the things that I don't. I don't like clean. I can clean. I can do these things, but I don't like them. And I admit it. I've had to embrace that. I am a visionary. I'm an entrepreneur. I could sit up here all day, Nelson, and come up with ideas and be creative. And I love it. However, I do have to work at balance. I also have to ask myself, what is it that I can outsource? I'm not saying you give the project to someone and they just totally do it for you, but you outsource it. They have the vision. They have the insight that, you want them to have so that they can complete the task at hand. Really honing in on your skill set. What is it that I'm really good at? And it really doesn't take effort on my behalf to get people engaged, to bring people on. I know for me, I feel like my thing is I'm a connector of people. I love people, but I'm also, it's kind of incongruent with the personality. I am an introvert. And so I think the part for me is I really have to regain my energy. I can be in spaces, but sometimes I'm in larger spaces and I really have to go back and gain my energy. And just like a program like this, I'm really passionate about what I do. So I give out so much energy in these types of things. So another thing we can do, make sure you go back and replenish when you need to replenish. Make sure you take breaks when you need to take breaks. One of my things, Nelson, is after 2 or 3 months, I have to take me a little mini vacation. After hearing everybody's problems or concerns, I just need a break from it all. I don't want to be nobody's therapist for like 4 or 5 days. I don't answer emails. I don't do anything. And I've been gone for the last 3 weeks, just working on self-care, going to workshops so somebody can pour into me. Take care of you, allow other people to pour into you, know when you need to be poured into, and recognize that you can't do it all by yourself. Those are my biggest things for starters.
That's amazing. And speaking of pouring into, I'm going to pour up my last little bit of rosé here.
Okay.
While I do that, let's see your shirt. You got a bro. I think you should do what?
I think you should try talking to a therapist. Bro, I think you should try talking to a therapist.
Tell him. You got to tell him twice. So
I have to.
how can people reach out to you and connect with you?
Yes, you can reach out to me through my website. That's dlrcounselinggroup.com, or you can Instagram me. That's dlross72. Yeah, those are the main ways, and just DM me and I will get back in touch with you. I would leave my number, but generally people don't call nowadays. So you can go to the website, or you can DM me in my Instagram.
And can people reach you outside of the Arlington and Southlake area?
Oh yes, we're available to the entire state of Texas. I'm licensed in this state of Texas. I'm looking into being licensed in some others pretty soon. So I always got projects.
Yes, sir.
I always got projects, but it's good. I can see the entire state of Texas.
That's great. And
it's only telehealth, which is video. But I tell people all the time, don't just rule it out. Where people are like, I need to be in front of. No, you ain't even tried it, or you hadn't had good therapy. Try it with a good therapist and see how it goes. It's convenient on time. You don't have to worry about traffic. And then I believe that you can be more consistent if you truly want to be consistent in therapy.
That's awesome. And then where can people find your books at?
The other website, it's themessages.net. Themessages.net is dedicated to my activism work, my work regarding communication within families, my work related to Black men, and my work to just education overall. You can go to my website, themessages.net, and you can purchase it there. It is also on Amazon. All of my books are on Amazon.
Cool. We'll make sure we have the links to everything that Danny has to offer for you, from the services to the books, and then also reaching out to him on Instagram so you can connect with him about what he has to offer. So,
can I ask you a question?
Go ahead.
I got you.
I felt nervous though.
No, don't be. You know I got you. So, one of the things that you've been helpful with me is another aspect of being a Black male who is embracing the need to have brotherhood. That's one of the things that we are doing now. We have this group called the Brotherhood, and Nelson and I are part of that. I'm kind of curious, what has been the biggest help for you in being in a group of other brothers? Because I think it's another piece that I'd love to hear.
For sure. Yeah. So I actually found Danny through like a Google search.
Psychology Today.
Yeah, Psychology Today.
That's what it was.
Yeah, being a marketer, right? I already knew, like, if I'm going to search for something that I need, like I have a need for. Mm-hmm. So I was searching for like brotherhood or Black male groups near me, and found that you had that brotherhood group to offer. So for me, the reason why I wanted to join was just to connect with a group of Black men who are older than me that may have the experiences that I wasn't used to, that I was still trying to learn more about myself, right? And connect with other people that could help me continue to improve as a male. So, I'm obviously, my dad, he's still around. I'm blessed to have him around. But just to hear a different perspective of other Black men that can help me evolve. Because I think in today's day and age, we really struggle with the narrative of a Black male in today's society in 2022. And I've had points in my life where I just needed to take a break. I got burnt out. I was starting something new, and or I was, rebounding from certain situations. So for me, it's really been super helpful over the last 2 or 3 months to connect with Black men in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And I'm hoping that, as we continue to evolve and meet on a monthly basis, those conversations help other Black men grow as well.
Exactly.
And even, I'm a very diverse person. Like, it doesn't have to be all Black men, but the brotherhood is definitely specified for Black men to help us deal with, our ups and downs of our lives.
I think the part that you said, though, we have a lot of dominant spaces, but we don't have brotherhood spaces for us as Black men because there are the nuances of our culture that you and I both know we don't share with everybody. And so it's great to be in a place to where I'm like, most times, most of us know what we mean. Like we may say something, but it's culturally connected. And so I love that space for that and continuing that. So I appreciate you sharing that with me.
For sure. And I appreciate you letting me into the brotherhood. And we chatted a couple months ago when, you kind of found my profile. So
yeah.
Just being able to connect with you has definitely made a big, growth
Good
for me over the last 2 months. So I definitely appreciate you and what you've done for me.
Excellent. Thank you for having me on your show.
For sure. And again, if you want to reach out to Danny, we'll have all his information in the YouTube bio. So check down below. We'll also have a lot of the episode clips posted on the Instagram page at How's Your Wine. So make sure you reach out to us, reach out to Danny if you need his services. Men, and you help women as well?
Women as well. I help everyone. However, there are certain spots or interests that I have where I have specialized training.
Perfect. All right, Danny, thanks for coming on to the show, and I will see you soon. And for everybody else, thanks for tuning in, and y'all stay safe.
All right. Thank you so much, sir.
Thanks, Danny.